Hello and welcome to the extended broadcast of Here's the Hoot's 6th episode. This episode previously aired on Blog Talk Radio and featured an interview with Miss Alicia Jackson-Warren, the Program Director for Prince George's Community College's Career Development and Internships Office. I'm Alexis Renee, and today I'm sharing more of the Hoot on career readiness and planning on Here's the Hoot's YouTube page. For everybody listening in, if you've already heard this episode of Here's the Hoot on Blog Talk Radio, get excited, because there's definitely more still in store. You'll learn more about common mistakes people make when choosing their careers, and suggestions for deciding on your own career path. Now, let's hear more from Miss Jackson-Warren on career readiness and planning.
Sure. Well, Career Development and Internships is a new office at the college, and that being Prince George's Community College. And our focus is truly on helping our students to be best prepared for their professional experiences. And that's the career development side. And then specifically, internships is the medium by which we are looking to help our students to be well prepared for the workforce.
Mm-hmm. And what services will this office provide to students?
Well, we definitely provide career advising. We provide internship coordination and assistance, resume review, cover letter review, mock interviewing assistance. We also facilitate assessments so that students as well as community members can become more familiar with their personal interests, values, temperament, and how that translates into career opportunities.
This is a really great opportunity for Prince George's Community College students. I'm really looking forward to using the resources and getting the word out there for a lot of other students.
And we certainly appreciate you sharing this information because we certainly do want our students to take advantage of these resources. We understand our students want to be well prepared to enter into the workforce, especially after completing their associate's degrees. And we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in helping those students to be able to do so.
What should students expect when they visit?
Well, the first thing they should expect is a professional encounter. We want to certainly present ourselves as professionals within the realm of career, but also help them to also grow in their professionalism. When we are preparing our students for internships, we want them to know that they're vying for internship opportunities and that the internship is not a guarantee. An employer has the opportunity to review resumes, cover letters, and interview our students as candidates for internship opportunities. So we want our students to be well prepared when they go into those experiences so that they come out successful and are able to secure those internships.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a really good opportunity for students. I think it's especially important, a lot of students are coming from high school going to the community college level. You will have a degree once you graduate from Prince George's Community College. It's important to have all the different skills so that you can go out and really benefit from the training that you've gained at PGCC.
That's correct. And also keep in mind we do have students who will be completing academic certificate programs as well as certifications. And so if they're completing those other types of programs at the college, we still want those students to be able to enter into the workforce with a skill set that will allow them to become more gainfully employed. We also have some career changers who are coming to the college to retool and to learn new skills. And we want to make sure that we're supporting those efforts and guiding those students while they're taking their coursework. So again, they'll be able to make those career adjustments and grow within the field that they're seeking to be in.
Wow, truly inspiring. I'm really excited for this opportunity. For PGCC students, what sort of material should they take with them when they visit the Office of Career Development and Internships?
Well, they definitely need to bring their student ID. We do have to verify that the student is whom he or she says that they are, so they definitely need to be prepared to present their student ID card showing their photo ID. If they unfortunately do not have their PGCC student ID card with them, we will accept a state-issued ID card or even ones Oh, why is it escaping me? It is escaping me. The document that people who use for international travel.
The passport, or?
There you go. I knew it started with a P, but it was escaping me. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yes. One's passport is another identification tool that we'll utilize to verify identity so that we can have confidential conversations as well as general conversations, but it's all to verify that we are indeed meeting with the student who is indicating their name. Absolutely. Now, depending on the nature of their appointment, there may be some documents that they may need to bring. For example, if the student is coming, and it is a student, and they're seeking to craft a resume, then it would be very helpful for them to bring a flash drive with them, because if they have crafted a resume and they're looking for us to make recommendations on changes or what have you, then they'll have the actual document in hand and they can manipulate it while they're in the session. Or if they are creating a resume from the very beginning, is at least getting a template together, then it will be great for them to have that flash drive to save the template and to continue developing their resume for a future visit. Same is true for a cover letter. So anytime that we're working with documents, it's great to have a resource to be able to capture that document for a follow-up and updating. So we definitely recommend bringing that. And then, of course, again, depending on the nature of the visit, any other relevant and pertinent information that will help us to best serve the student information-wise. Because the more they bring in, the more we can work with the student and really help achieve the goal of their visit.
Absolutely. I love the suggestion of bringing a flash drive to advising sessions. That makes a lot of sense for being able to work in the document real time with your advisor, and then being able to send them copies right then and there during the meeting, so you can stay up to date on your resume and cover letter.
Yeah, and it's so important to have updated material. It definitely shows that you are monitoring your professional persona, because when information is going forward and someone sees that you sent a resume out and then it's dated and not reflecting current information, that may bring a prospective employer some pause. They might like, well, I don't know, this is making me concerned. Is this person not involving themselves in continued professional development in some capacity? Are they not employed in some way? I mean, it just really makes them wonder where they're coming from, because it's so much easier to keep oneself active and growing professionally and then consequently assuming a new position than not showing that you're doing anything at all. And people and employers are looking for people who are about growth and development. So your document needs to reflect that even though you might not be employed, that you're doing something to grow as a professional.
Absolutely. And for PGCC students, would you suggest them to get involved in campus clubs or activities to keep their resumes up to date?
Absolutely. And not just while I'm going to meetings, because anyone can go to a meeting, but truly be involved. Take on some responsibilities. Serve as a committee chair, or possibly even an officer that's demonstrating leadership and organizational skills. Team building and being able to work well with the team. Those are skills that any employer would love to have on board. So involvement is a great way to show that you're developing those professional skills to be more marketable and employable. Absolutely.
All right. Absolutely. I agree. In your opinion, what are some steps involved in the career development process?
Well, when we're looking at career development, it can be seen on something of a cycle, if you will. And one of the very first things that we want to do in the process is to be self-aware, and that involves undergoing self-assessments. We have a variety of different tools that our students and community members can make use of to undergo assessments to find out who they are as individuals and what would be a great fit for them in terms of a professional career path or industry. So first step, we would definitely encourage the assessment piece. Once we are clear on who it is that we're working with, and the student is clear as to who they are, or the community member, then the next step is to do some career exploration, finding which careers and industries are a great fit based on the outcome of those assessments, to have an idea of what the options would be, and ideally the best options would be. I know it has been said, and I don't know to whom to attribute the comment, but if a person is doing the work that aligns with their personality, then it's as if they're not working a day in their lives. So that's really the type of experience that we want for those individuals that we're working with to have, to be excited that they're operating within their passions and finding the career pathway, the industries, or the positions that will allow them to do that is the ideal. So that's the career exploration part. And then ultimately, as they are weighing their options and looking at what is available as far as the career pathways, the industries, and even some positions, make a decision. We're going to take a step and we're going to move in a direction that will allow us to then narrow down a particular position or opportunity that aligns with that decision. And then in the process of doing the job searching, which is basically the fourth step, making sure all the marketing materials are up to date and really are tweaked to meet whatever the position is calling for, and making sure that the information really markets the individual in a strong fashion. And then finally, going forward in pursuit of the job, and that would include going through the application process, ideally securing an interview, and hopefully performing well in the interview enough to secure either the job or the internship. So those basic 5 steps is pretty much what we would utilize.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are, I think that would give a general overview of just how students can really take back control of the career development process. They may feel a certain pressure beforehand to just choose something that, you know, makes money long term, but they're not involved in passionately. I think that this process could help students find something practical that they're also inspired to take up.
Well, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, that is, something that so many students struggle with, particularly our first-generation college students. If no one else in their family has gone to college and they're the first ones, typically you'll have someone from the family say, well, you should probably major in business, or you should be a lawyer, or you should be a doctor, or you should be a nurse. And, so the student ends up majoring in something that they may not be very passionate about, or their skills are not strong in those particular areas, with the intent of following into a particular career path that's not well suited. So that's one of the things we want to respectfully challenge with our students, and to say that we understand that they are respectful of their families and what they're indicating their wishes to be, but ultimately it's the student making the decision on what type of life and lifestyle that they're going to be living, and this experience that they're having with us is to prepare them for just that. So that's why it's so important for the student and or the community member to be really honest when they're going through that assessment process. That assessment is going to provide us, the advising staff working within Career Development and Internship, enough information to really have a meaningful conversation. And we want the student or the community member to really see themselves in that assessment so that they can understand the why of it all. Why is it that, nothing of this assessment says I would be a good fit for nursing, even though that's what I thought I was going to do as a major. Well, if that's what the assessment is saying, then that's something you really have to reflect upon and be honest with yourself and say, you know what, there's some truth there. It's definitely showing that I wouldn't be the best nurse if I were to continue on, if I became a nurse at all. So let me maybe look at something else within the medical field that I would be better suited for, because I am genuinely interested in the medical field. So having those types of conversations and reflective moments, that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually leads into the next question. What are some common mistakes people make when choosing a career?
Well, again, taking advice from loved ones, well-meaning loved ones. It can be detrimental if that well-meaning loved one is really not clear on what that individual's skill set may be, what their temperament is, what their passion happens to be. All of those factors are so important in making a decision as to what one's best career decision would be. And so, again, if you're telling, say, for example, a son or a daughter, well, you should become a doctor, a medical doctor, because they make really good money and they are well respected and what have you. But your son and daughter may have an aversion to bodily fluids. Let's just say that. So that would be a problem if your son or daughter can't stand to see human bodily fluids coming from various parts of one's body. How can they serve that person well or care for them? That's not going to work, because doctors and nurses, for example, provide direct patient care, and in certain cases, ambulatory care. And if this person is having an issue, literally, and then this medical professional is witnessing it, they're not going to really be a good help to that individual. So having those really good conversations like that, helping them to see the light and the reason why this is a good idea or this is not a good idea. I also remember hearing, and just really, I know, harping on our allied health and nursing program, but they really make some compelling arguments. I believe one of the faculty members was talking to the students about the importance of really mastering the content. And when you think about it, if a student is earning, say, a C, which is maybe about an 80% in their coursework, that's almost suggesting that, okay, well, 80% of the individuals that I'll be working with are going to be healthy and doing well, but 20%, well, their health may be compromised or they may die.
Oh my gosh.
That's a real conversation. And when you look at it from that vantage point, you're like, oh, well, you know, I would not want to be amongst that 20% that is going to have my health compromised, or I may die because someone was not proficient in the knowledge and skills that they needed to be demonstrating to help me as a patient.
Right.
And I didn't think of that before, but once I heard that, and I'm like, yeah, that's really true. I truly don't want to be someone who's on that 20% side of things. So that's why we have such rigorous programs when the level of impact could be life or death. We want to make sure that we have individuals who are well-skilled and very knowledgeable to help avoid harm or death.
Yes, I agree. I've never thought about it that way before. When it comes to those life or death careers, it's something that you really have to be passionate about. It's something that you have to be able to absorb a lot of the information and stay on your toes and have a lot of those necessary skills to be able to just dive headfirst into your work every day, because you are impacting the lives of those around you in the community. Absolutely, and their families. So, you know, it becomes a broader type of situation, and we want to be mindful that even in having conversations with family, how to do that in an appropriate and respectful way, being mindful of our legal obligations, but also the interpersonal skills that are so important that could make or break even a patient's ability to overcome an ailment, and being sensitive. You know, truly understanding the importance of compassion and empathy. All of those are some important qualities to have, particularly in those fields. So we really want to make sure that we're passing that information along from the advising side, because we are providing career advice within our area, but then also supporting students and community members as they're moving along and making decisions. And then the other point you made about really thinking about what you're passionate about, that's also important today, because we're living in a technological age. Now you can find a way to market your skill set and really give back to the community while earning a profit, doing what you love. So it takes a little bit of research, might take a little bit of imagination, going to the drawing board a couple times, but if there's something that a person keeps feeling like that's what they're meant to do. It's possible now. You can actually turn that into a career. You can make that the legacy that you leave.
That's so true. And, interestingly enough, when you think back, let's say maybe 10, 20 years ago, some of the types of positions that we are currently growing in didn't exist.
Exactly.
Social media is certainly an industry that has exploded. People have created careers utilizing social media when things of that nature didn't exist in times past. And I mean, folks are living quite nicely because of their social media employment. So there may be positions that don't exist now that someone is going to be the great innovator for and create something new. So it's not always what we see. It could be something that we envision.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. And people who are visionaries are going to be the innovators who will come up with these positions that we can't even begin to imagine. So we don't want people just to be stuck on what it is they're seeing here and now, but truly tapping into, like you said, their passions and figuring out how to make those manifest.
Absolutely. And I know you touched on this before, but when choosing a career, how can students utilize self-assessment tools, for example, personality, career assessment, and aptitude tests?
Well, one of the things that we definitely want to stress is the honesty element, really truly being honest with themselves as they're going through the assessment process, making sure they're understanding what the questions are asking and to provide the answer that best reflects what their position or circumstance or thoughts are about the statement or question. And once they have completed their assessments, have that conversation with a career advisor or certainly with one of the staff members within Career Development and Internships so we can help them to make sense of what it is that they've just done and what it all means in terms of identifying an appropriate career pathway as well as what would be a great industry for them to consider for future job opportunities. And then go about the business of exploring it to see, how that can be made a reality for them.
Exactly. Yeah, for my own personality type, I originally, when I took the test a few years ago, I got the score of INFJ, but recently I retook the test and they said it was an ENFJ. And reading information about that personality type, they suggested a career in communications. So it's ironic taking those tests later on down the road in college, like how they can better help you point out your path that might not have been as clear before. Seeing now what my scores are recommending for me, it's lining up more with my intended career path.
And interesting that you mentioned the Myers-Briggs. That's the acronyms that you were using, the MBTI.
Yes.
We do evolve. We grow as individuals, and there are different elements to those letters. You went from a more introverted personality to more extroverted as you became more mature and more confident, and the way you receive and process information and how you share, you're very comfortable in performing in an extroverted manner. And so someone who is strong in extroversion is likely to be comfortable communicating and likely to be fairly effective too. And so I agree that you are operating within your strength and your skill set and your interest, because this is something that you're genuinely interested in doing, so it makes sense. And that's what we certainly want for our students, to really operate within that framework. And as they evolve, then their career may also evolve, and it's okay. In days past where people were working the same job for 30, 40 years, that's really not the reality in current times. And to be okay with continued development, growth, expansion, it's okay.
What are your suggestions for undecided students trying to choose a career path?
Then they most definitely need to undergo assessments, and multiple assessments, not just one. Look at some different types, personality, the career assessments, aptitude tests, all of those types of things, and then bring all of those results together in an advising session so that a detailed conversation can be had to identify an appropriate path. And also tying that back into their academic choices, because ultimately we want to make sure that what the student is studying academically is going to well prepare them for their career pathway.
Absolutely. I agree. And I know PGCC is promoting their Pathways program right now. I think that's a really great opportunity to introduce college students to the different routes that they can take, even starting now in community college.
Absolutely. And again, the community college is a means to an end in terms of education and training. We have individuals who are completing programs and then going directly into the workforce. But we also do prepare students to go on to the 4-year school to further their education and to then enter the workforce after they complete their bachelor's degree. But at whatever stage our students find themselves, we want to make sure they're ready for what comes next. And having that courageous career conversation is very instrumental in helping to make sure they're in the appropriate major and pathway while they're with us, and they're prepared to enter into the appropriate major for when they decide to transfer to a 4-year institution.
What career development opportunities should college students seek out?
Well, as we discussed earlier, they should definitely look into becoming more involved in campus activities so they can develop their soft skills and interpersonal skills and organizational skills. All of those are wonderful to bring to a workplace. And then also looking at internships, because again, we are so encouraging of students having practical experiences to put on their resumes and to best market themselves. So internships allow students to really break into particular career opportunities that they may not otherwise have the opportunity to do. So being able to grow in a profession by getting that entry-level experience that so many students lack when they complete their education. So we definitely are strongly encouraging of students to not only consider an internship, but actually going through the internship process, securing the internship, actually going through and completing the internship, and continuing to grow based upon the experiences they had with the internship.
Yeah, I agree that this is a really great period for all college students and continuing education students and even the dual enrollment students to take advantage of these different opportunities and just prepare themselves to explore the different internship opportunities, especially since we're so close to Washington, D.C. and all the opportunities that they have there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, being right so close to the nation's capital, there are so many different opportunities for our students to involve themselves in. So we are very fortunate to be so close, and then also right within the county. We don't want to exclude Prince George's County in terms of county agencies and organizations, and, of course, the state of Maryland. So it is as broad as you want to take it, nationally or even internationally, and as close as one's own back door, within the county. So we definitely want students to know the opportunities are out there, and we want them to be connected to them.
What steps can students take to build their professional networks?
One of the best things a student can do is actually create a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is a professional networking application that is accessible from online means, and it is where people connect as professionals. So it's not for social hour or hanging out with friends and things of that nature, but really advancing one's image as a professional within a certain field and allowing students to also connect with others who are in the fields and industries that they're seeking to grow in or enter into, so that they can connect and learn how to enter into those fields or grow more expeditiously. And again, keeping it professional. So they are bringing their best selves to this experience. And it's a wonderful opportunity for growth. And LinkedIn, you don't have to get a paid account to be a part. the free account is wonderful and does much for people to get connected on that professional level. So that's one thing I strongly encourage students to look into, is crafting a compelling and competitive LinkedIn account. And when it's free, I always tell my students, free is always in the budget. So by all means, pursue those opportunities, make those connections, and move on up in one's career.
Yes, I agree. LinkedIn provides a really great opportunity to put yourself out there professionally, but then over technology. It's a combination of networking and social media. I think that makes a really strong statement for the direction that this country is heading.
It is, and we know that, technology makes the world a much smaller place. So you can truly connect with someone who is in an entire different country across the globe by way of the Internet and different applications. So, again, we want to make sure that we're presenting ourselves as the best candidate to take advantage of those opportunities, even if they are international in nature. That would be ideal for someone who looks for that type of work. So we want to make sure we're positioning our students to be able to take advantage of those types of experiences as well.
In your opinion, what are 3 soft skills essential to success in the workplace?
One of the biggest soft skills that I think is just critical is initiative. That shows an employer that you care enough to take on a responsibility without having to be told. I mean, we have brains. We can think, we can see, and when you see something needs to be done, you don't have to wait for someone to tell you, well, can you please or would you please? Go ahead and take care of business. Handle it. Show that you are responsible and respectful, and that goes far for someone who will entrust you with other responsibilities when you're showing that you're willing and able to take initiative in other areas. So I appreciate anyone who can demonstrate initiative. Another soft skill that I think is kind of a 2-for-1 is the problem-solving and critical thinking skills. The reason an employer is hiring anybody is because they have an issue and they're looking for that individual to help them to overcome that issue. So we want people who are able to think critically about a variety of different situations based on their responsibility or role within an organization and how they can improve the situation, and offer up those suggestions, recommendations, utilizing their skills to affect the change that is greatly needed. And then thirdly, I don't think you can go anywhere without having effective communication skills. And we're not just talking about verbally, but also in writing. For organizations, when you are representing them in public, the way you speak to other individuals, that is going to reflect upon that organization. When you are communicating through electronic means or on hard copy letters, that again is representing the organization. So you want to have someone who knows how to effectively communicate using appropriate subject-verb agreement, who knows when it is appropriate to use common terms as well as when it's more appropriate to use professional language. Any and all of those nuances, tone, punctuation, all of that reflects a mastery of communication. And that is the type of individual that an organization will certainly seek to bring aboard, because that's who they want, someone who knows how to communicate and who communicates with the organization's best interests at heart.
I really love all of those different soft skills that you mentioned. I think that those would be great for students to practice now, for even just to have success in the class setting, because it shows your commitment to working with other students as well as your commitment to achieving and really absorbing the information from your professor.
Absolutely. And, of course, going back to internships, when students are in their internship, demonstrating those particular soft skills would do much for positioning that student for future employment opportunities within that organization. It's been known to happen that great interns are afforded positions within the organization with whom they've had their internship. So we don't want to be missing out on those opportunities because we weren't able to demonstrate those essential soft skills.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any suggestions for how college students can develop their soft skills?
Well, one of the things that we talked about a couple of times in this conversation is the involvement piece. Student involvement through campus activities really do help prepare students to move forward with their soft skills development. As an undergraduate student at Old Dominion University, I was very active in my campus activities. I was definitely involved in my sorority. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And actually yesterday I just celebrated 30 years of membership within that wonderful sisterhood. And I can tell you, yes, thank you. My brother actually told me years ago that he saw how much I grew as a person by my involvement in my sorority. And I'm not saying everyone has to join a Greek letter fraternity or sorority to develop leadership skills, communication skills, confidence, initiative, problem-solving, communication skills, and the like. But there are a number of organizations on various campuses that students can become a part of and active within so they can develop those soft skills. So I'm just saying the benefits of involvement, campus involvement in organizations and clubs, are a great way to develop soft skills and a great way to also indicate that you've had those opportunities to develop those soft skills. It's one thing to say, well, I have this soft skill. It's another thing to be able to demonstrate it. And when you look at different job descriptions or different postings, many times it's saying demonstrated ability to do A, B, and C or X, Y, and Z. So by having these varied involvement opportunities on a college or university campus, students can demonstrate that they truly do have those soft skills.
Absolutely. And, moving towards applying for internships, it shows a connection to the school that you're a part of when you have different sources that you can point back to for them to speak more on how well you work with the organization and just really help to develop programs and activities for the college.
That's so true. And again, when you're involved and you're connecting with individuals, people are then more inclined to support you as you move forward with whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, I'm very happy to say that some of the administrators with whom I got to work with as an undergraduate have still provided me with references in recent history because of the type of work that I did 30-some-odd years ago. It made a difference, it made an impact, and it made an impression. And so by staying in touch with those individuals, continuing to share my progress, my growth, they are certainly happy to support my continued growth because it's a great reflection upon the institution. So I definitely have been a beneficiary of establishing wonderful relationships because of my own involvement, and I certainly encourage students to do the same, especially when it comes to getting letters of recommendation for those types of opportunities or references. People want to have quality letters of recommendation. So they don't want your basic form letter. They want to read content that shows that individual knows the student and knows something that is significant to be considered for whatever the opportunity may be. So the only way one can establish that type of relationship is by becoming involved and developing that relationship through involvement opportunities. And I think that's a great way to make those things happen.
Yes, it's developing those soft skills is truly something that sets different job applicants apart, going for different positions or college students applying for different internships. It really shows your commitment to your area of study and just how well you'll be able to communicate with the employers and coworkers that you would be working with if you do receive the position.
Absolutely. And we want the students to be able to be in a position to get that. We really do.
Exactly. As a last question, what are some advantages of completing internships?
Well, one of the biggest advantages, of course, is, again, being in a position to show that you have demonstrated ability to perform the work that you are seeking to do on a higher level or a deeper level as a professional. That's been one of the greatest challenges for college graduates for eons, if you will. It's one thing to have the education. It's another thing to have the experience. And that's been such a hurdle for so many students when they know they've completed degrees, but they are being precluded from opportunities because they don't have experience. Well, the internships are now bridging that gap and helping them to gain that meaningful experience so they can speak to what skills and experiences that they've had to a prospective employer and show that not only have they the demonstrated ability, but they have significant potential to continue to demonstrate this skill set under that new employer. So that's why it's so important for those students who are at the very least considering internships to really do more than just consider, but seek out how to participate in our internship program and create that opportunity to show a prospective employer that they have the skills, knowledge, and ability to do the work that they're applying for.
Exactly. And it's also a great way to figure out if that career path is something that you're truly passionate about and would like to work in long term.
That's so true, because sometimes you get to a place where you just want to make sure that this is really what you want to do. And the only way to make that clear decision is by having an experience. So that internship experience definitely helps students to very firmly discern if this is something they want to continue on with, both academically and professionally, or if they need to make a change. And our goal is to have students to be involved in an internship experience as early as they can be during their academic career for just that reason. It could be that they really do need to make a change in their academic program of study so that will lead to a different career path. Or it may affirm exactly what it is that they're doing academically so that they can continue on and grow within that career that they're on. So we definitely see the value of getting into an internship sooner rather than later. And for our students, presently, we're asking that students earn no less than 6 credits in their respective discipline, and they must have completed no less than 15 credits, and that does not include developmental coursework. It is strictly college credit coursework that they have to complete. And they must have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA. Now, to be very fair and honest, 2.0 is your very minimum satisfactory academic progress level. To be more competitive, we strongly encourage students to have no less than a 2.5 GPA. And, when we're presenting students as candidates for opportunities for internships, again, the employers are going to be looking to see, well, who is committed and disciplined and working diligently to earn these higher grades, because that's likely what they will also bring to the table as an intern. So we want students to be well positioned to garner those highly desirable internships because they are demonstrating their commitment through their academic work as well.
Yes, absolutely, to showcase that initiative to potential employers.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Jackson-Warren. This was a really wonderful interview.
Thank you so much for having me to share this information. I am just so honored and thankful to be able to relay this, and my hope is that this particular interview will be shared broadly so that individuals who might not even be students at Prince George's Community College will then consider Prince George's Community College for their education and career goals. And then for those who are even beyond the realm of enrollment here, that they will then look at their own institutions where they may be to see how they can grow both academically and professionally.
Absolutely. I definitely encourage students to check out more of what Prince George's resource centers have to provide, because there's so many different ways you can benefit as a student and just as an individual, as a person. You can gain new experiences and life skills and relationships and friendships with people in your community.
Absolutely. And for individuals to learn more about what resources and information pertaining to career development and internships, we strongly encourage them to visit the college's webpage at www.pgcc.edu, and they can type in career services in our search bar so they can learn more about the resources that we have. And specifically, if they're interested in internships, they can type in the word internships in the search bar to get more detailed information about requirements for participation at the college as well.
For everybody tuning in, thank you so much for listening. I'm Alexis Renee, and this broadcast of Here's the Hoot is on YouTube. If you'd like to hear more episodes of Here's the Hoot, head over to Blog Talk Radio /Here's the Hoot.